Welcome everybody to another episode of Ramsey's Rockin' Roads. Today is going to be a paver episode, which I think you guys are all going to be excited about. Right here behind me is a 2023 LeeBoy Paver 8510 that we just got. And what I want to do is just walk around the machine, talk about standard features, talk about what we added, special features, what I've learned, what I love about the machine, what there's really not much I don't like about the machine. So let's take a quick walk around the machine. I don't need to, most of you guys that are watching this know that this is a asphalt paving machine. This is the rear, that's the front. Let's take a walk around quickly. And I'm here with my sidekick, Funny Boy Shane. And let's take a quick gander around and look at this thing. I've got the hopper open because there's some things I'm going to talk about that in a minute. So let's go around this side. Oh, and I have to say doesn't look like much, but we're in our yard in Santa Maria, California. And it's a little bit of a rainy day. We got a double rainbow out to the north, which is quite nice. So, like I said, this is a LeeBoy 8510, and it's got an electric heater, which LeeBoy figured it out. They put it in here, which before, as you contractors know, the generator used to be underneath the conveyor, which was a real pain in the you-know-what. When the breakers tripped, you'd have to clean the machine, raise it up, reset the breaker. It was a real pain. LeeBoy figured it out. They put the electric screed here. So this machine comes with electric screed or propane screed. I like the electric because, as you paving contractors know, as soon as the back of the machine gets filled with diesel, it becomes a candle. And with the propane heat, it lights up on fire, literally. So I like the electric screed. The other feature that we got with this machine is, which doesn't come standard, are the rubber tracks. Now, the reason why I like the rubber tracks on this machine is because it really makes the machine universal. It's a little more costly to operate from a maintenance standpoint because these tracks they don't last forever, like the metal tracks or the polypad tracks. Those things seem to last forever. These don't. You'll probably get about 500 to 800 hours out of them, depending on how rough the guys are with them. But you won't damage concrete up and over valley gutters, up and over concrete, in and out of driveways. You're just, these are really optimal. You're not going to hurt anything. All metal polypads, you'll damage concrete, chip concrete. So the machines have a purpose, and this is just the way that I spec it out. I'm going to talk about in another episode, this is something new I've bought over the years, over the last 25 years. I don't know how many of these machines I bought new, probably 6 or 7 of these machines. This is something new that I've never ordered before, and I actually stumbled upon it by accident, which I'm going to talk about it in a later episode, is the heavy duty screed. Shane, come over and get a picture of this. So this is the HD screed handle, bearing, connectors. It's like a heavy duty drive line. And then Shane will put on there a still of what a normal screed bearing looks like. The reason why I went with this is for the kind of paving we're doing, we don't need a heavy screed. However, the picture of the little bearing that Shane's gonna put on there as a still, those things break quite often. I mean, we have our drivers and our operators that load the machine up. If the screed is not raised up all the way and it drags on the deck of the trailer and the screed starts jumping, it'll snap those bearings and you are not paving. That's one thing. That's kind of the weak link with these pavers. So I stumbled upon the HD. It's a heavier screed, lays a tighter mat, but I didn't get it for that reason. I got it solely for the purpose of the bearing mechanism and the drive. I mean, this is like a straight up drive line right here. We have another machine that we got that had the HD screed on it, which we thought it was a mix match, but I talked to my guy, Bobby Sanchez at LeeBoy, and he actually told me, no, it's not a mix match, or a mismatch. It actually is a 8510 with just a HD screed, so that's how we spec this machine out. So I'd like to talk about, first of all, funny thing, as guys get hurt over the years, guys and gals, as they're paving with these machines, as they get hurt, I've noticed that LeeBoy's made different changes to the machine. One thing that we did, we cut it off, is there's this kind of goofy little guard right here. And that was actually put on there. LeeBoy gives credit to one of my local competitors. Some guy was paving and got his foot caught right here and twisted his ankle, and LeeBoy, so that goes back to the early 2000s. LeeBoy gives credit to one of my local competitors for putting that on the machine. I noticed that this is something new that they did. There's a screed lock here, and if you notice, this just keeps the screed, you can lock it in place, and it keeps the screed from going up or down. And I'm sure what happened is, you know, somebody was probably standing here, the screed dropped on their foot, and LeeBoy got a claim, the contractor got a claim. So they added this here, okay? Another safety feature I noticed is, and I locked him out. All you lawyers in the world will see this. I locked it out. So this is a hydraulic lock for the wings. I'm sure what happened, and I've got a lot of guys out there working, and I'm sure what happened is somebody probably forgot to put the wing in, because I've been operating these machines for many, many years. I've never had one of these wings come open on the freeway. I think what probably happened is somebody probably forgot to close it, and they were probably driving through a tight street in San Francisco, and they probably clipped like 6 cars, and because the wing was outfolded, and so they said, oh no, the wing went out on its own, which you and me and all the contractors know that's not gonna happen. But they put this safety device on here to where once it's closed up, you can lock it tight, and that's it. So those are really, over the last 20 years, those are really 25 years, those are the only, actually 35 years. Those are 35 years I've been paving. That's really the only changes that I see that they've made to the 8500 or the 8510. So let's quickly jump into what modifications we made for this machine. So Shane, if you look over here, we've got a couple of the seats that the machine comes with laying in the dirt. We don't use the seats. Because of the kind of paving we do, the operator and screed operator are on and off the machine so much, the seats are a nuisance and they're in the way. Also, the other thing we did is, and Shane's gonna give you guys some stills of this, there's an extra control panel that comes up right here that kind of sits in the way. We got rid of all of that. These are your controls. In, out, up, down. These are all the controls a screed guy needs. Same thing over here. There was another control box right here. Now this was even worse. Just imagine if you've got a seat here, a control box here. I don't even know how the operator could adjust the screed. I really don't. So what we did is we mounted, and if you see right here, we took this control box here, we cut it off, you can't even tell we did anything, and we mounted it right here. So all the controls are right there. We got the horn, we got the safety switch. It's mounted right there in a nice safe place. But for the kind of paving that we do, it's just not necessary. Now another thing that I'd like to point out, Shane, come over here for a sec. So these, I had my guys, the shop, change out for these handles. Now, I'm gonna go on the other side of the screed and show, we left the other box on there so I can show you guys how the machine comes from the factory. So, from ease of operating and to decrease fatigue, we just put these nice little balls on here, and the machine goes forward, back, and it locks in the middle. The machine stops, backward, forward. It's very nice, very comfortable, very easy to use. Come on this side, Shane, please, for a second. So I'm presuming it's because of, now this design went on the machine several years ago. So with this design, it locks in center. And so what you have to do is you have to pull it up, and like it just locked on me. you have to pull it up and go forward with it. And then it goes back to lock. You got to pull it up and go back. Now, that might only take a few seconds, but it adds a lot of fatigue to the operator, and it does decrease production. Now, a lot of you paving guys out there say, come on, Scott, it's, you know, you're only going to save, you know, when you back up and set a mat and then it locks in and then you got to grab it and go forward. It's seconds on the day. Well, seconds on the day, when you look at that over a whole year's time, that's a lot of time. I mean, you're talking about potentially hours. Instead of putting 500 tons, you might get 490. Well, you extrapolate that. If you've got this machine running every single day, that's a lot of tonnage. Go back to one of our fans back in yesteryear, Henry Ford. Henry Ford in his assembly line, which he perfected so perfect, he perfected it so perfectly. I don't know if that's even right to say, but when he, in his assembly line, he knew efficiency, and he knew that he did not want his assembly line people to turn more than 15 degrees in any direction. Well, that's all I'm doing. This is just Henry Ford style. I just want my operators and I just want my guys to be as fatigued as little and to be as efficient as possible. Now, we personally have never had any issues, knock on wood. We've never had any issues with safety. I know this is a safety feature that LeeBoy added, probably because somebody knocked it with a rake and the machine went running wild, but not an issue we've had, and it really is something nice for the operators. And then one of the big things, which I actually couldn't believe, which I think is a great thing. The only thing under here, under the screed, under the hopper, only thing under the hopper is the fuel cell, which I think is great. Gets it out of the way. This is a beautiful place for the fuel tank. The issue we had, and Shane's gonna post some pictures, they had this return fuel line in a solid pipe coming across here, going back that way, and you can see where we plugged it off back there in the back corner. So that was one change when the guys opened this up and we were admiring this brand new machine. That was the one thing that I said, that's gotta go. All of you contractors out there know, you're paving a job and you peel up some Petromat or you get a chunk of asphalt that runs through the machine, that return fuel line is gonna be the first thing that breaks. So anybody from LeeBoy, any engineers, anybody from LeeBoy watching this thing, that's gotta go. That's gonna be the first thing that breaks. So all we did, we have a bunch of hydraulic lines, we have a bunch of, and all we did is we just piped in that fuel line in on the frame, and it's all protected with all the other hydraulic lines. So it's not a big deal. The machine's gonna function just fine, but it just takes one less thing. It's just one less thing you gotta worry about while you're out there paving. You got 10 trucks stacked up, that fuel line breaks, you've got diesel going everywhere, you are done until that line gets fixed. So we just eliminated a problem. I would hope that, some boys are here, I would hope that LeeBoy probably rectifies that here pretty quick. So let's go back over to this side. The one thing, and everybody that knows me knows that I'm a huge LeeBoy fan. So the one thing that's super nice is we look at this control panel on this 8500 or 8510, the hydraulics controls. This is virtually the same, and it's remained the same ever since I can remember. I remember working for Midco back in the day, working for John Hampson, and I remember I was a driver, so I would unload and load. I never operated the machine working for Midco, but I loaded and unloaded the machine all the time, and virtually this machine is identical to the machines that we operated back in the 90s. Now the only difference is, and I was actually grabbing for the lever because it was out of habit. I was actually grabbing for the lever. There used to be 2 more levers here for the augers. So all they did is now we have the augers right here, and you just put it into auto, conveyors into auto, and away you go. Over on the side there, I don't have them hooked up for this episode, but once you put the augers in auto, and it's got the sonics right there, and you just, as long as you can drive straight, you just drive straight. The conveyors feed the screed. The augers auger out, everything's automatic, and everything controls itself. So all the operator has to worry about is two things. Driving a straight line, that's all the operator, and we've got the ease of the operation by changing out those locking, I guess we call them locking controls. We switched out the locking controls for the little knobs. We set our auger speed there, or how full we want the wing. And then so the two things the operator has to worry about is driving a straight line and how thick the mat's going to be. That's it. Conveyors are doing their job and auger's doing its job, and all we're doing is just driving straight. So like I said, LeeBoy is, as I've said, as everybody knows, LeeBoy is my favorite machine. I've ran a lot of different machines. I'm not going to name names, but I've ran a lot of different manufacturers. I've ran a lot of different machines, and we keep going back to LeeBoy. And I just noticed one other thing that we added this chain here, and this is just simply to make it easier for the guys tying the machine down. They know exactly where the binder gets chained to. We're not twisting or damaging the screed at all. So that's one other thing that we've done. I think other than that, that's about it. I mean, that pretty much sums up this machine here. We've got, this will be our fourth machine that we've got in operation right now. And we will get worry-free with very, very little repair. We'll get about 2,000 hours out of it with little repair. Once we start getting into the 2,000 to 3,000 hours, that's when it gets a little more costly to operate. Let's go to the front and I'll show. The hopper here is where, this is what takes the brunt of the abuse. And if we look at some of our older machines, you'll see that it's pretty mangled, because just imagine you've got trucks backing up, hitting 100 times a day, dumping. There's a lot of wear that takes place in this area here. So once you hit the 2,000 hour mark, 3,000 hour mark, you're gonna start putting a little money into it. I've got a machine here that we bought brand new from LeeBoy, Nix and Igley, 2007, and we still have it. We kind of use it as a backup, but the hour meter on that stopped working at 3,800 hours. 3,800 hours. So we don't really know how many hours the machine really has on it, but it just keeps going. It's got a German Hotz engine in it, and it fires up every time. It runs every time, and I can put a real beautiful mat down with that machine. And this machine clearly has had 0 asphalt ran through it. I wanted to wait till we got this podcast done, because as soon as it goes out on the first job, it's going to be black. But yeah, I mean, that's about it. I think the one other nice thing I've noticed, and it's not that I really necessarily care, but from a maintenance standpoint or from my shop standpoint, there are little doors that they've added to service the engine, to access the engine. Shane, we might want to get some shots of that. Little doors here to access the generator. This is the little box that we mounted right here that was mounted back here. We got rid of that. We put it inside here. And guys, the reason we did that is it's just another gimmicky kind of thing that can just get your operators confused. The kind of paving that we do, you don't need that. It's plain and simple. I don't mean any disrespect, but you know, we're not out there paving highways. You know, the kind of stuff we're doing is under 45 miles per hour, stuff you don't need. So anyway, yeah, I think that pretty much covers the machine. Any questions, comments, feedback, subscribe, or whatever that stuff you do. And thanks again for joining us on another episode of Ramsey's Rockin' Roads. Thank you. All right, guys, so we're gonna do a quick little startup here. So because the particulate filter and, does this thing run DEF, James? No DEF? Just because of particulate filter, you gotta wait to start. Once it's ready, simple as that. Screed heat is here. Screed heat's there. You heard it idle up on its own. That's something different, James. That's different. The other machines don't do that. You got to keep the RPMs up at like 1800, so that's nice. Nice feature. Idles up on its own. And then, like I said, away you go. Yeah, that'll be the first thing that comes off right there, the backup alarm. That'll be a change we make. Backup alarm will be off. Anyway, but yeah, super easy. Augers on, conveyor on, drop the screen, ready to go.